morning. Welcome to Tuesdays with the Pilgrim as we continue our journey with Christian as he goes to the city of Zion. Today we pick up chapter 6, parts 1 and 2. Christian's encounter with Apollon. Poor Christian was having a terrible time in the valley of humiliation. He had ventured only a little way before he noticed a foul fiend, Apollon, coming towards him across the field. Christian began to panic and debated whether he should turn back or stand his ground. But then he recalled that he had been given no armor for his back, and he realized that to turn back would give his adversary an advantage. Apollon would then easily pierce him with his arrows. So he resolved to stand his ground and move forward no matter what, for he thought to himself, even if I had no more in mind than saving my own life, this would still be the best choice. So he went on, and Apollon met him face to face. The monster was hideous to look at, covered with scales like a fish, and exceedingly proud of them. He had wings like a dragon, and feet like a bear. Fire and smoke came belching up from within his belly, and his mouth was like the mouth of a lion. When he drew close to Christian, he looked down upon him with utter disdain, and demanded of him, "Where have you come from, and where are you going?" Christian replied, "I have come from the city of destruction, which is the place of all evil, and I am going to the city of Zion. I can tell by this that you are one of my subjects, since that whole country is under my authority. I am the prince and god of it. How is it then that you have run away from your king? If I didn't believe you might still be of use to me, I would strike you to the ground right now with one blow." "It is true I was born in your dominions," replied Christian, "but your service was hard and your wages were such that a man could not live on them. For the wages of sin is death. Therefore, when I came of age, I did like other people of discernment have done, and looked for a way to straighten out my life. There is no prince who will take lightly to the loss of one of his subjects," countered Apollon, "nor will I let you go. But since you complained about your service and wages, go back, and whatever our country can afford, I hereby promise to give you." "But I have given myself to another, to the king of princes, and how can I in fairness go back with you?" "In doing this you have gone from bad to worse, as the proverb says, but it is typical for those who have professed themselves to be his servants to give him the slip after a while and return again to me. If you'll do this also, all will go well with you." "I have given him my faith and sworn my allegiance to him," Christian responded. "How then can I go back from here and not be hanged as a traitor? You did the same thing to me, and yet I am willing to forgive it all if you will now turn again and go back." Christian remained undaunted. "What I promised you was before I was of age. Besides, I believe that the prince under whose banner I now stand is able to free me from my obligations to you and forgive me for what I did in compliance with you. In addition to this, you destroying Apollon, to tell you the truth, I like his service, his wages, his servants, his government, his company, and his country better than yours. So forget about trying to persuade me further. I am his servant, and I will follow him." Still, Apollon persisted. "Once you cool down and reality sinks in, consider again what you will likely meet with in the way you are going. You know that, for the most part, his servants come to a terrible end because they are violators of my will and my ways. How many of them have been put to a shameful death? You still believe his service is better than mine, even though he has yet to come from where he is to deliver any of his servants from their assailants' hands? But as for me, as all the world very well knows, I have many times, either by power or by fraud, delivered those who faithfully serve me from him and his servants, though they were taken by them, and I will also deliver you." Christian answered firmly. He presently restrains himself from delivering them in order to test their love and see whether they will cling to him until the end. As for the undesirable end you say they come to, that is the most glorious credit to their account. They do not much expect deliverance at present, but they remain true for the glory coming to them, and they shall have it when their prince comes in his glory and the glory of the angels. "You have already been unfaithful in your service to him," Apollon sneered. "How do you think you can receive wages from him?" "O Apollon, how have I been unfaithful to him?" "You weakened in your resolve when you first set out, and were nearly choked in the slough of despond. You tried to go wrong ways to get rid of your burden when you should have stayed on the course until your prince had taken it off. You sinfully slept and lost your treasured things. You were almost persuaded to go back at the sight of the lions. And when you talk of your journey and what you have heard and seen, you inwardly desire recognition for all you say or do." "All this is true," answered Christian, "and much more that you have left out. But the prince whom I serve and honor is merciful and ready to forgive. Besides, these shortcomings possess me in your country, where I participated in them and groaned under their weight. I have been sorry for these things, and have now received pardon by my prince." The Inevitable Conflict, Part 2. Suddenly Apollon erupted into a fierce rage, shrieking, "I am an enemy of this prince. I hate his person, his laws, his people. I have come out with this purpose, to stop you." "Apollon, beware of what you do," warned Christian, "for I am in the king's highway, the way of holiness. Therefore you had better watch yourself." Then Apollon spread himself out in such a way as to cover the entire width of the way, and challenged, "I am without fear in this matter. Prepare to die, for I swear by my infernal dwelling that you shall go no further. I will destroy your soul right here." And at that he hurled a flaming arrow at Christian's heart. But Christian had a shield in his hand with which he blocked the arrow. Then Christian drew his sword and aroused himself for battle. Apollon, with feverish pace, began throwing arrows as thick as hail. It was all Christian could do to avoid them, and even so he was wounded in his head, his hand, and his foot. This caused Christian to retreat somewhat. Seeing this, Apollon fell upon him with full and sudden fury. Christian regained his courage, however, and resisted as gallantly as he could. This fierce combat went on for more than half a day, until Christian's strength was almost completely spent. Because of his wounds, he grew weaker and weaker. Apollon saw his most opportune moment. He began to wrestle with Christian and threw him forcefully to the ground. Christian's sword flew out of his hand. Gloating, Apollon said, "I am sure I have you now." With that, he assaulted Christian nearly to the point of death, so that he began to despair of life itself. But as God would have it, while Apollon was preparing to strike his final blow to completely annihilate his foe, Christian quickly stretched out his hand and grabbed his sword, saying, "Do not gloat over me, my enemy. Though I have fallen, I will rise again." With that, Christian gave Apollon a deadly thrust that made him fall back as if mortally wounded. Seeing this, Christian attacked again, saying, "No, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us." Apollon then spread his dragon wings and sped away in defeat, and Christian would see him no more. A more unequal match could there be? Christian must fight an angel, but you see, the valiant man, by wielding sword and shield, does make him, though a dragon, quit the field. No one could imagine, unless he had seen and heard the battle as I did, what yelling and hideous roaring Apollon made the whole time. On the other hand, what sighs and groans burst forth from Christian's heart. In the struggle, I never saw Christian even once give a confident look until he perceived he had wounded Apollon with his two-edged sword. And then he actually smiled. It was the most dreadful fight I had ever seen. When the battle was over, Christian said, "I will give thanks here to the one who has delivered me out of the lion's mouth, to him who helped me against Apollon." And he did, saying, "So great Beelzebub, this fiend's captain, had devised a plan that I would never rise again. He sent him out armed. He was enraged. In hellish fight we fiercely engaged. But blessed Michael helped me, and I, by blow of sword, quickly made him fly. Therefore to Christ I give lasting praise, and thank and bless his name always." Then a hand reached out to Christian, holding leaves from the tree of life. Christian took the leaves, applied them to the wounds he had received in the battle, and was healed instantly. After this he sat down in that place to eat bread and drink from the bottle that had been given to him. Feeling refreshed, he prepared to go on with his journey. He kept his sword drawn in his hand and said to himself, "There may well be some other enemy lurking nearby." But he had no more confrontations with Apollon through the rest of the valley. That's the end of Chapter 6, Part 2. Next week we will pick up with Chapter 6, Parts 3 and 4, The Valley of the Shadow of Death. Until then, take care, stay safe.